They, if you know how big cows are, they're about the same size as a cow. So the cows that you get all over on farms and that, the buffalo is about the same size. It would be the best way to describe it. I'm sure you've seen some cows around, and I think if you had to stand next to one, you'd probably, and I'm not too sure how tall you are, but I think a 5 or 6 year old would probably be as tall as maybe that one's shoulder. So not quite the top of the back, but the shoulder of the buffalo. Let me see if I can. If I point, you'd probably be about that tall. So just to give you a size reference, maybe that makes it easier to understand. So Jack has asked us, do the buffalo eat other animals? No, Jack, they don't. The buffalo are what we call herbivores, which means they only eat plant material, so grass, and occasionally, so not often, they prefer feeding on grass, but sometimes they also eat the leaves off of the trees, and that is mainly because there might not be a lot of grass around. At the moment, there's very little grass, so the buffalo will feed on some of the leaves off trees too, but they definitely do not eat other animals, not at all. They're just moving off, and I think we're going to do the same thing and carry on and see what else we can find. So Alan has asked us a question. Alan would like to know, why do the buffalo seem worried about predators? And oh, sorry, Alan, you asked why don't they seem worried about predators? Well, at the moment, you see, they're always aware and always alert. They're very careful, and they'll always look out for predators, but at the moment, there aren't any around them. So it looks like they're not worried, but they're still very careful, and they will still scan the area very carefully to see if there are predators around. They'll always use their sense of smell, which is very good, and they'll listen carefully. But at the moment, there are no predators around, so there's no danger for those buffalo. So they're happy with moving around and looking for food, and maybe later some water. So Jake has asked, where do the buffalo go to take shelter out of the storm if it rains? So Jake, all these animals, they don't necessarily take shelter. What they do is they still carry on moving around. They may move under some trees if the storm is really, really bad. The animals, you know, they adapt to the weather conditions depending on what it is, if it's really hot, if it's cold, if it's raining, and the buffalo generally probably just move into some thicker bush so that the trees can give them a bit of cover. Oh, a little squirrel, everyone. Let's see if we can see it. Just ran across the road. You did see it jump on there, the little squirrel, and that is called a tree squirrel. And it's just moved behind the tree. Now they're very shy. Hang on, he's still climbing up. I caught a glimpse of him again. He's got a little bit higher. Let's see if we can't find him for you. Just looking carefully now. See, they're very, very shy, the little squirrels. Ah, there he is. He's sitting in the middle of the screen now. There we go. Look at that. He's looking at us. Well done. Well done, Dave. Dave's our cameraman, everyone. And isn't it amazing how you can find these little things in the trees, these little squirrels, little birds. And this squirrel is in a very thorny tree. Can you see those sharp thorns behind it? And it doesn't bother the squirrel. The squirrel can climb very, very well. So it can get into that thorny tree very easily. And it's probably safe there because nothing else can get in there very easily to catch the squirrel. Isn't that cute? Looks like he's breathing very quickly. That's nice, and we always say it's so important to also appreciate the little animals that we get out here. It's not always about the big buffalo or the big elephant. It's very, very quiet and peaceful here now. We're going to leave the little squirrel. There he moves. Nice of him to pose for us. So, the little kids who are watching, we are completely live. So what we are seeing now, you are seeing back in your classroom, and this is what you can probably expect if you ever come on a safari, maybe with your parents one day. We've got to drive around and we look very, very carefully for these animals to try and show them to you. Look at this tree that's fallen over next to us. And that is from an elephant. A big elephant has probably come through. He's tried to feed on the leaves or the branches. That's what elephants like to eat. And he's pushed it right over into the road. We sometimes call it an elephant roadblock. Stops us from moving through the road easily. And have a look here. We've got some beautiful impala. That's a lovely impala antelope. They look probably similar to deer that you have back home, but they are not deer at all. They are called antelope, and this is known as the impala. And the impala are very, very successful in this area. There are a lot of impala everywhere. But what that means is that the predators like the impala, so lions and leopards, and especially leopards, like to catch and eat impala because it's a perfect size for them for a good meal. There you can see some moving through the back. But they are very beautiful little animals, very graceful and elegant. And they can jump very, very well, and they're very fast runners. They can jump amazingly well. Let's see what else we can find. Nice to see those impala. Beautiful antelope. Got a few flies around at the moment. We had a big storm the other night, everyone, and because of all that rain, a lot more insects are around. So we've got the flies and everything, some dung beetles too. Maybe we can find one for you at some point. We're going to carry on looking for some interesting animals. While I do that, Taylor has got a big predator to show you.
find. Isn't this lovely? These beautiful big kitty cats. And you can see they are fast asleep. Now remember, you're welcome to ask questions, so I'm listening out and awaiting any of your questions that you'd like to ask me. But you can see, like I said, they're fast asleep. And that one has got an elephant dung pillow. That looks very comfortable, don't you think? I wonder if you had to go home and ask your Mum, can I please have a pillow stuffed full of elephant dung? I wonder what her response would be, because apparently out here in the African bush, it seems to be the favorite pillow for lots of different animals, and in particular, the lions. Isn't this lovely? But the little cubs were just about to wake up, but now it looks like they're going back to sleep again. And look at that little one at the back who's got a stick. That is a lion's favorite chew toy after a buffalo's tail. They prefer to play with one of those. Now, oh my goodness. Look at you chewing on that stick, and it probably feels quite nice to chew on that stick. You know what it's like when your teeth are growing, how sometimes they can get a little bit sore, but when you chew something, well, then it feels so nice. And it's exactly the same thing with the lions and all the different animals that like to chew, so from the dogs and all sorts of things. Ariana, you want to know what do lions eat? I'm going to actually show you. VM, can you see the impala straight ahead of us? Ariana, have a look at this. No, we're just trying to find them very quickly. There's Impala. Can you see that, Ariana? I know it's a bit difficult to see, but that is indeed an Impala, which is a type of antelope, and I believe you just saw one with Byron, so you probably got a better look now. Lions will eat almost anything. They only eat meat, though. They don't eat any grass or any leaves like a cow or sheep would eat. And if those impala get too close, well, the lions may try and hunt one of them for something to eat. Remember, as sad as what it may be, it's very important that those little cubs get some food too, so they can grow big and strong and be like their mothers and their fathers. So that's very important. But their favorite food is actually buffalo, the African buffalo. Now, Alan, you want to know how much do lions sleep? Lions can sleep for up to 20 hours. Can you imagine sleeping for that long? I don't know if I could. I think I would wake up more tired than what I was when I went to sleep. And the reason why they have to sleep so much, Alan, is because they use a lot of energy when they have to go out and catch their food. When they have to catch the buffaloes or the impala or the giraffe or whatever they may be eating. It's very important that they've got enough energy stored so that they can attempt to get some dinner or some breakfast. You can see, though, the adults not interested just yet in waking up. They are fast asleep. So there's the big male lion lying at the back. You can see his mane on the right-hand side of the screen. So that's how you tell the difference between a male and a female lion, a boy and a girl. It's obviously the big boys have got the very hairy heads. And, of course, the lovely ladies, well, they don't have any, or not a big mane. They've got hair, of course, but not as much as the boys do. It's like your dad. You know, your dad has to shave every morning. Otherwise, he grows all that hair on his face. The lions, unfortunately, well, they don't shave. Otherwise, they'd look like the girls. You can see another little cub there. What have you found, or are you just cleaning yourself? I think this cub is just having a bath. Hello, little one. Looking at us, hiding behind the tree. Now, no one has spotted the impala just yet, and they're not far away. Maybe the impala have spotted the lions, but if the impala do see the lions, I think she's listening to me now, and possibly trying to smell. See how she's wiggling her nose? She's trying to breathe in the scents. And if there is a little bit of wind going down towards her, she's going to smell those lions and she's going to start barking. Like I said, it almost sounds like a dog. She'll snort, make big snorting noises. It's quite a strange noise. Hopefully we'll be able to hear it. And then they're probably going to run away from these lions. And this little one is saying, "Wake up, Mom. I'm hungry." Or, "I want to go to the shops." No, just hungry. Now, these older cubs shouldn't even be drinking milk anymore. They're getting to their maximum age, so they're getting to the point where mom is not making any milk for the babies. So they're actually starting, or they have been eating solids for quite some time. Listen, listen, listen to the impala. Now, Seth, you want to know how fast can lions run? Just quickly looking, this male lion, I think, heard those impala alarm calling. Maybe turn your volume up. Can you hear that? I'll answer your question now, Seth. Can you hear the snorting? It almost sounds like somebody trying to blow their nose. It's a little bit far. They're not calling very loudly. Now, because the impala know that the lions are here, the lions will have no chance in catching them. They are very good runners and very good jumpers. They're much quicker than the lions. So the lions can probably get to a speed of about 70 kilometers an hour, but they can't keep that up for very fast. Their initial speed is the fastest, and then they start to slow down. Now, I said that the lions only eat meat, and then this one looked like it had a little bite of those leaves, but don't worry, it didn't actually eat any of those leaves. Now, this male lion is known as tinyo. It's a very hard word to say, but it means tooth. Jack, you want to know if lions hibernate? No, they don't. They move around all the time. They don't need to hibernate at all. They've got those lovely big warm coats, and of course the food, their food that they eat is always around. So there's no need for them to hibernate. But he was very sneaky. I didn't even know he was sitting there. And I think that's who the impala saw first, because he's much closer than the rest of the pride. Look at his big mane now. You can really see that he's a boy. Ariana, you would like to know how much do the cubs play? They play a lot whenever they get an opportunity to. They don't have to sleep as much as the adults do because they're not hunting any of their food. They're relying on mom and dad to do all the hard work for them. So they have all this extra energy which they're able to use. Oh, look at that big yawn. Did you see how big his teeth were? So they probably keep playing throughout the day. Play a little bit, then have a sleep and play again and have another little nap and do all those things the entire day. Now, I'm hoping what's going to happen, this is going to be quite exciting, is if this male lion, this boy lion, decides to walk past the vehicle, which I think he may if he heads back towards the rest of the pride. Let's see what he does, though. You can see how he's sticking his tongue out. He's very itchy. And you know when you rub your dog's tummy and you find the right spot that's itchy, how they sort of kick their legs? That's exactly the same thing as to what this lion is doing with his tongue. Another big yawn. Wow, you can almost see down his throat. Mrs. Sawyer, you're wondering why he keeps sticking his tongue out? It's just because he's found sort of a spot that is probably a little bit ticklish or feels quite good. Like I said, it's very much like when you scratch your dog's tummy and you find the spot that they like the most, and then they seem to move their legs around a little bit. It's sort of the same thing. He's just hit the spot, and he's finally hitting that itch that has probably been quite itchy for quite some time now. Here we go. He's scratching his elbow. And the reason why he's so itchy is because he's got a skin condition. So he's got something wrong with him. Not anything too bad though, called mange. And that is a little insect, like a little parasite that eats and feeds on the hair. And then they get the sort of black markings. They almost lose their hair a little bit. You can see on his right shoulder, our left-hand side of the screen, he's missing some hair. There you go, you can see it now. It seems as though Byron has found something interesting for you. Let's go across and see what he's got.
Look at this, everybody. We've found something very, very interesting. And I'm going to just crouch down and show you. Can you see what this is? Can all of you see? I'm going to pick it up and show you. Look at that. Just make sure there are no little scorpions in there. And this is a giant land snail shell. Isn't this incredible? This is a massive, massive snail. And can you believe that we find these big snails all the way out here in Africa, in the bush, in the middle of nowhere? And look how big they get. See the beautiful spirals on the shell? And when this one is dead, unfortunately, possibly died during the dry season, maybe something ate it, and all that's left is the shell. But this would have been a fully grown giant land snail, so it got to live out its whole life, which is great. But isn't that fascinating that you can find this giant land snail all the way out here? And maybe some other creatures would use this shell later on, possibly some spiders or scorpion or anything to hide in there too. So this is really, really fascinating. One of the largest snails or land snails in the world, which is incredible. I'm going to put this back over here. I found something else very interesting that I'd like to show you. Just have a look, follow me over here. Can you see, I've got this little white patch right around here. And this is very interesting. This has been created by an animal called a civet, and I'm going to show you a picture soon, but what I want to show you is what all of this white stuff is. So what the civet has done is, this is probably a way of marking its territory, so the area that it lives in. But what this is actually the shells of millipedes, little creatures about this big that walk along the ground, and we'll see if we can't find some for you. There are a lot around at the moment because of all the rain that we've had. And a millipede has a very, they look almost like worms, but they've got hundreds of legs that run underneath their body that move together as they're walking. They're round in shape. They're completely black, and then the hard shell is what we are seeing here. And what has happened is these civets eat the millipedes, and they leave the shell behind, and after a while the shells then turn white, just like that snail shell over there. And I'm going to show you some pieces here quickly, just to show you what it looks like. There we go. Going to come a little bit closer. Can you see that? Yep. There we go. Look at these pieces of shell that the civet has eaten. So that's a lot of millipedes that the civets managed to find and eat. And then they use that. It's called a midden. It is where they drop the dung, and that is then to mark their territory or their home that they live. So he will always use that spot. So this is very interesting. Let me show you what a civet looks like. They're very, very beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful little animals. Let me just show you here quickly. Have a look. I've got my mammals book, and that is a civet. Look at that. It looks almost like a cat, but it's not a cat. It's in a different family completely, and we call that the African civet. Very, very beautiful little animal. And they are mainly nocturnal, so we don't often see them during the day. Nocturnal means that they only come out at night. So it's really, really great to see an area where a civet probably comes every day and uses the spot. So maybe we should try one evening coming and sitting here to see if we can't find it. But isn't that interesting? It's amazing the little things that also are happening around us all the time. Let me just jump back in here quickly. And there we go. So it's nice to find little things like this, little clues of other animals that are around. We're going to see if we can find some live animals now. Taylor is still sitting with those big, beautiful cats.
Look what VM found on his leg. It's a caterpillar of some sort. Now I'm going to use something just to keep him where I want him to go. Sorry, I'm in the way there. He was just about to run away. Come back so we can see. I'm being very gentle with him. And isn't this a beautiful caterpillar. There we go. Now you're going to see it come towards us. Now, I think it's either from a butterfly or a moth. I'm not sure which one. But look at those black little hairs that it has on its back. Now, the reason why I didn't want to touch it is because often when the caterpillars have the little bristles on its back, the little hairs on its back, they can make you itch. They will use it as a defense mechanism. They become detachable, so they become loose, and then they get stuck on you. But look at those beautiful colors. Even the little red legs that you occasionally see, the black, it almost looks like it's got little blue. And of course, look at the grey fluffy hair. It must be an old caterpillar then if it's already gone grey. Now be careful, little one. I'm just going to make sure that it doesn't decide to fall off, because I don't want it to. No, you have to go back that way. I'm just encouraging it just to stay on a level. Otherwise, I don't know what to do with it. And I will let it go. I don't know how it got in here in the first place. VM, were you climbing trees today? VM says he wasn't climbing trees, so I wonder where this little chap came from. Isn't that lovely, though? Hey, how cool is that? But I think let's have another look at the lions. They seem to all be starting to wake up now. I'm going to keep watching our little friend over here. Ooh, this is a log climbing lion. Miss Williams, good afternoon to you. Are you wondering how long do the lion cubs stay with their parents? It depends on if they are a boy or a girl. If they're a boy, unfortunately they're going to be kicked out of the pride at about 2.5 years or so, sometimes even a little bit earlier. But if you're a girl, if you're the female, they can carry on and live with the pride. So the pride is mainly made up of females, and they tend to stay together for life. And the males, unfortunately, they come and go. And we can see them all starting to wake up. I'm just checking in the distance. Remember, we had those Impala alarm calling. They have now run away and disappeared. And it's starting to cool down nicely. Isn't that lovely? And we know what that means. When the weather gets cooler, the lions get more active, so they get more energy. You can see one of the lionesses. So the proper name for a girl lion is a lioness. And I want you to say that all to your teacher. I'm going to count to 3, and then you're all going to shout lioness. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. I think you guys shouted so loud I could hear you from South Africa. Sorry, I'm also trying to control my friend the caterpillar who I want to place on a tree. I'm just watching it. Look at this little one now. Trying to stalk, learning to stalk. So speaking of my friend the caterpillar, I know that Malichi and Jace, or we're just trying to get off here. Hang on, I'm trying to make it. Get off this piece of cardboard. This is my piece of cardboard. Now, you're wondering, what does this caterpillar eat? Well, it eats leaves. I'm not sure which leaf it eats, though. And that's why I want to be careful where I put it, because I wanted to find the right food source. Sorry, you'll see me there. I just don't want it to disappear. No. You have to come back. No, don't go on the cardboard. You have to stay here. So I'm not sure. It depends on, of course, the butterfly or moth species, whichever one it may be. But they'll definitely eat leaves. There's so many different trees out here. It could really be anything. But I've never seen anything like this before. This is the first time I've seen this beautiful caterpillar. Now, unfortunately, it's time for all of you at Windsor Oaks Elementary to leave us, but I hope you enjoyed this afternoon, and we hope to hear from you soon. So from myself and Byron and David and VM, we hope you have a lovely day and enjoy the rest of school, and hopefully we'll catch you again soon. Right, we're going to go back across to Byron though, who's got a Bateleur.
Look at this beautiful Bateleur sitting on the tree stump right up or out in the open. Oh, that could possibly mean it getting ready to fly. Maybe not. It might sit there. It's quite comfortable. We're in the area not too far from where that buffalo carcass was that Taylor had yesterday afternoon. There's not much left there. The smell is just terrible at the moment. There are still a few vultures around the area, and they are sitting up in the trees. You'll see just off to the left. There we go. And that Bateleur has just taken off. So the vultures just sitting up there. I think because it's a much cooler day, and I actually just want to have a look. That one at the top looks interesting. Hang on. Oh, it is. It's a big vulture. The two bottom ones are white-backed vultures, and that big one at the top is the leopard-faced vulture. And that's what he thinks of us. There it goes. Very, very big vulture. It still looks like a youngish one. But they've got the most powerful beaks out of the vultures. Let's see if I can just show you a picture of an adult quickly. Give me a second. And yeah, so it's nice to see the vulture still around. The reason that Bateleur was around here too is because the Bateleur is also a scavenging bird. It will also try and get some food from kills. And usually Bateleurs are one of the birds that get to the kills the quickest. They'll feed and try and feed quickly before these other big vultures, or before the big vultures rather, arrive. Because those vultures will usually chase those birds away. So Bateleur and tawny eagles. So they are also birds that will scavenge and feed off carcasses. Just find a picture of these vultures for you quickly. Here we go. You know what? Where is that vulture now? I think it's just flown off. You know what? I think I made a mistake. I think that was actually a white-headed vulture. And I'll show you why. Give me a second. So let me show you why. Yeah, I think it was a white-headed vulture. So if we have a look here quickly, just at the top, these are the white-backed vultures. Very easy to identify with that white marking on the back and the grey around the head with the black face. Then we do get a few other species around here, and if you look further down, these two at the bottom, look at that, the leopard-faced over there and the white-backed vulture. But both of these species have got very bald heads. The adult leopard-faced vulture has a very red neck and red face. You see that? But very bare around the back and little white feathers over there. Whereas if you look at the white-headed vulture, and I haven't seen one of these for quite some time. Also very big head, but you see bald at the back. Also white feathers around the neck. Not as red, or not nearly as red as the leopard-faced, but the beak is also very large. And these two are probably some of the largest vultures around here. And that was the white-backed vulture that we saw. So a different vulture. I haven't seen one of them for quite some time. That was really, really interesting. So sorry, not a leopard-faced, it was the white-backed vulture. And occasionally you can get vultures coming in from quite a distance away to feed at these carcasses. They'll see all the vulture activity. And some of these vultures, their eyesight is incredible. They can see something about the size of an A4 piece of paper from about 2 to 2.5 kilometers away. So what's that, about kilometers, 1.6 miles? No, a mile is 1.6 kilometers. So that, to give you an idea, so 2 kilometers, which is almost 2 miles, very, very long distance away. Their eyesight is incredible. So what they'll do is they'll follow each other and come down to the carcasses. So Junebug from Texas has asked us, are vultures predators? So no, they're not birds. Well, they're not predators, Junebug, in that sense. But they feed on carrion, so they are scavengers. They are considered to be scavengers as opposed to predators. They don't hunt for themselves. They will feed on dead animals. So we consider them to be scavengers, not predators. We're going to be leaving these vultures. They seem to be resting quite nicely in the trees. Taylor's still got a friend on the bonnet, I believe, and the lions.
I have released Mr. or Miss Caterpillar. I put it on a buffalo thorn, and well, it seems to be enjoying it. You can see those mouth parts moving now. Now we'll see if it's going to eat this leaf. Like I said, I'm uncertain as to what species of butterfly or moth this comes from. It's quite interesting. I think it could be from a butterfly, but I'm also just guessing now. I've never seen anything like this before. It is so beautiful. Look at those little legs. That is so stunning. Oh my goodness, this is now where I wish I was also taking photos. I think I'm going to have to take 1 or 2 photos, or even better, perhaps you can take some screenshots for me and share them with me on Twitter, or you can email them to questions@WildEarthTV, and then I'll be able to see them. Oh, another little fly just landed. I don't know if you saw the fly land on the bottom left of the screen. This is so cool. Look at this. This is amazing. Sorry, lions. You guys are going to have to wake up. Look at it moving around there. It seems as though it's eating the plant. There's another little fly. How cool is that? Going to actually investigate and see what the caterpillar is up to. That is beautiful. Now, why weren't you posing like this for me just now? Yeah, munching, and it does seem to be eating, doesn't it? Okay, caterpillar, that was so beautiful. You can see it there, but let's go back and have a look at the lions, who are now really starting to wake up quite a bit. This one's going on an adventure in the drainage line. Be careful you don't get lost. Angela, thank you so much for your comments. You've helped me out quite a bit. You told me that the oldest lion is 9 years, and that's the lioness that's got the black nose, and she's also got a broken canine. I must admit, I didn't actually notice any of them had got broken canines, but that's something that I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for next time. Thank you so much for that. That is going in the notebook, of course. Now, oh wow. So oh, that's quite interesting. So the mother of the oldest cubs has got the very fluffy chin and the spotted nose. She's 5 years old. Amber Eyes is apparently 7 years old. And of course the youngest in Kahuma is 3. Thank you so much for all that wonderful information. It's really come in handy. And I will jot those ages down as soon as I get a minute. But that is quite spectacular. Now I'm watching poor Mike is trying to navigate through along this drainage line. It's quite treacherous. But he's doing a sterling job, and I'm sure it's providing lots of entertainment for his guests. Now you can see the cubs staring over in the distance at the branches just cracking as he makes his way into the sighting. Now it's back. The little ones are really starting to get quite feisty now. And that's what I keep saying, is that I love these personalities that they've developed, all becoming their own, not just little cuddly cubs anymore. But we saw it this morning when they were at the carcass, how the smallest of the cubs, the teddy bear cubs, are indeed the feistiest. And they were growling and sort of slapping back with their paws at all the adults that gave them any grief, which is very brave. But they're quite gentle with each other. Now, Zach, you're wondering what the reaction would be of the lions if someone were to get out of their vehicle. So if I had to get out of the vehicle from where I am now, I think that these lions would probably run away from me. The reason why I say this is because I'm on higher ground, and there's also a drainage line between myself and the lions, so they have got an opportunity to move away. I haven't cornered them in, even though the vegetation is quite thick. Remember, those cubs are old enough to move away. If they were little cubs, so if they were only a month or two old, and still a little bit wobbly on the feet, well, then I'd be in a lot of trouble. The lionesses wouldn't stand for that. And of course, if they were on a kill, well, then I'm really asking for trouble. They might move off. I know that in some cultures, especially in the Kenya, the Maasais, they often chase lions off their kill and will cut themselves a small section of meat and then go back, and that's one of the techniques that they use to get food. Oh wow, well spotted. My favorite little bird, the Cape glossy starling, watching very carefully, wondering what the lions are about. Maybe it spotted the caterpillar, and that's what it perhaps was after. No, I don't think so. I think it was a bit far away, but that would have been quite funny and very unfortunate for our friend the caterpillar if that starling swooped down to come and bite it and eat it for dinner. They're having a good groom, the little cubs. Very busy today. But we're going to unfortunately have to leave these lions soon, because I know that there are lots and lots of vehicles that want to come and see these beautiful cubs, and we're quite limited to how many vehicles we can have in this sighting, because it's very sort of cramped here with the drainage line. It's going to be quite tough to try and cycle all the ranges through before it's too dark to view the Nkuhumas. We're going to sit here for a minute or two longer, and then we're going to have to say goodbye. I actually think that this might be a good enough time to leave, because I know poor old Mike is trying to get into the sighting desperately, and I think that we could have the best spot. And I see that he's got a vehicle full of happy guests. Perhaps we should be very kind and let him come and take my spot. So I think let's go all the way back across to Cheetah Plains and go back to Byron.
Taylor's definitely had a lion day. She spent most of the day with those lions, while I've been driving around searching for any sign of leopard, and we just haven't had any luck. But again, still the reports are Karula's still south of our boundary, I believe, with the two cubs. They had a kill, so I think that's why they've stayed down there. And then there was Tingana, the big male leopard that was found yesterday or the day before, who also had a kill, but just to the east of our boundary. So that's why those animals haven't been around. But it's not to say that there aren't a leopard around here. You know, what's possibly happened is during that storm, maybe there was a leopard that killed an impala, or made a kill, any kill. They like to hunt in the rain. It's easier for them to hunt, and then because of that, they're probably hiding somewhere. And because they're not walking around, we haven't seen any fresh tracks, because there's no need for them to leave a carcass until they finished it. So that could possibly have happened, and then what happens is the rain washed away all the tracks from where the leopard made the kill and moved into a thicket. So then we just don't know where they are. This is a nice road. I don't think I've been on this road before. Don't recognize it. A lot of little pans and mud wallows all over here. So you see this just off to our right. And why that is interesting is because a lot of these animals, like the predators, can now drink anywhere. There's water all over, little pools that they're able to drink from, so they don't have to cover as large a distance to look for water. So if they've got a kill nearby, they can go to these little water holes, get water, and return to the kill again. So Cheryl from Oregon would like to know, is there anything that will alarm call at night to warn other animals of predators. Well, Cheryl, all these antelope and that, all the antelope species, especially Impala, those types of antelope, they never really sleep. They do rest, and they do generally look for clearings, for safety, where they can keep an eye out for predators. Those animals still alarm call at night. If there are predators around or they're being hunted, they will still alarm call. In terms of birds, maybe owls, but not necessarily. And you would get, I'm trying to think, the water thickneys or spotted thickneys. I'll try to show you a picture of them quickly. Just find them in my book. Give me a second. They are nocturnal birds, and I know for a fact that those thickneys do alarm call at predators if they are walking close by. So they may alert other animals. So these two birds down here, the water thickney and the spotted thickney over there, they are nocturnal. You can see those very large eyes. Most nocturnal birds have got very, very big eyes, and that they're able to see better at night. And these types of birds would alarm call if a predator had to walk nearby. But you must remember, all those other antelope species are still aware and still careful, and they are then looking around for predators, and they will alarm call and alert each other if there are any predators around. So they do still alarm call at night. Starting to lose a little bit of light. No sunset this afternoon. It's been overcast, so we didn't have a sunset at all. It's probably going to get a lot darker a lot quicker because of the clouds, the cloud cover. This is quite a nice area. I haven't driven here before. I just haven't been along this road. There's still a few roads around this area that I haven't been on. Haven't been driving here for that long. So, first started Wild Earth last year, then did a stint here in June, and now this little stint for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'm back again in November for about 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks. Really great. And very different guiding to what I'm used to, because we've got so many viewers from all over the world. Usually I'm used to having the guests on the vehicle with me and interacting with them. Okay, we're going to keep searching these areas for any signs of any animals for now. We haven't seen too much for the last little while. Taylor's still with those lions. Let's see what they're up to.
I've got fantastic news. Some of the lions sort of spread themselves out a little bit and opened up another spot for a vehicle to come in. Remember, I said we were limited because of the area that they were sitting. We could only fit 2 vehicles. But now that they seem to be up and moving away, perhaps they're going to go back out to the open, maybe have a drink of water again. No, but before we do, we're going to have a quick climb of the tree. They're really getting quite talented now with going up and down the trees. I'm very impressed at their tree climbing skills. I think that they could even give perhaps James a run for their money. I wonder. I think James is pretty well adapted in the tree. He seems to be more arboreal than he is terrestrial. Now I'm hoping that these lions don't go too far south in the drainage, otherwise we're never going to get a view with them. Let's keep our fingers crossed that they move further east back towards where their kill was, because there's a nice open area. Oh, look at this little cub biting this plant. Now this is an interesting plant. It's called mother-in-law's tongue. Can you see it there? And it's quite spiky, and I'm sure you're thinking that is a strange common name for a plant, and the reason why it gets that name is because of the very sharp point that it has on the tip of the plant. I suppose sharp and spiky sometimes, like mother-in-laws can be. Not all of them though. I'm sure there's lots of good ones out there. And Lioness has gone back for a little siesta. can hear the wood hoopoes as well calling in the distance. No, of course it's stopped calling now. Every time I point out the hoopoes, they never want to carry on. There we go, now you can hear it. It's actually just jumped up onto the top of the tree. Let's see if we can have a little look. You go straight in, there it is. Beautiful red bill, or orangey red bill, the green wood hoopoo. Where's the rest of your family? It's just the one now. Obviously the light is fading quite a bit. Off it goes. We have to turn the ISO right up to try and get enough light. But I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to venture back across this drainage line to get to the other side, of course, and go around and see if we can reposition. Let's try and do that. Now, VM, how am I looking behind you? On your side, I'm good, hey? Bye, Caterpillar, my long-lost friend. Oh, well, I think I may have caught the tree that the caterpillar was on and then flung it a couple of meters. Sorry, Caterpillar. But I'm sure it's quite resilient and will be okay. Sorry. Oh no. Right. Thankfully, Jigger's not a very long vehicle. Now, speaking of butterflies and moths and caterpillars, Alistair wants to know, how do you tell the sex between a male and female? Just watch your head here. Now, typically the male butterflies and the male moths are more colourful or have various markings on them. Where we're going to have to go underneath this tree. We have to do it teamwork over here. Are you good? I'm going to go forward slowly. There we go, we're done. Fantastic, and now up we go. Now, it is quite difficult. I think from the larvae perspective, I don't know if there are any differences. I've never really been taught the differences of the sexes of the larvae, so perhaps there aren't any. Maybe there's some subtle differences, but definitely when they become adults, whatever they may be a moth or a butterfly, you have to sort of look. Here's one of the males. I think this is Tinyo again. You have to sort of look at every single species of butterfly, like we do with the birds, of course, as that typically the males are brightly coloured versus, or have more distinct markings, and then of course the females being a little bit on the lighter side. Now let's carry on going around though. This is just one male. I want to loop around while we've got some light to get to the others. We'll do a little bit of driving here. Remember, we're racing against the light this afternoon, so I'm going to try and do it as quick as I can. I smell lots of lion dung around here. I'm just trying to have a quick look to see if I can spot where the pride was. Remember, we were looking from the other side of the drainage line. Alison, good afternoon to you. Want to know if I ever feel nervous. Oh my goodness, they've already crossed the drainage line. Look at them going down there. Okay, well, we're going to have to carry on following them. There they go. I'm going to try and zip around back onto Mvubu Road and then catch them. Let's do that. And while I do that, I'm going to tell you though about Alison, no, don't ever really feel too nervous. It was, when it was really intimidating, those when we were doing those safari marathons and we were using the infrared lights and we'd sit in complete darkness. You couldn't see anything around you. That was quite scary. And then having them roar and not knowing where they all were and just feeling the vibrations. That was pretty intimidating. But other than that, no, I'm not too worried. Okay, luckily we've got an open gap here. I do just want to I'm going to have a little chat with Mike just to let him know that they're moving. But let's very quickly shoot across to Byron and get an update from him.
So we don't have anything just yet. Trying to find any sign of animals. I heard some elephants earlier, but through quite a dense, thick area. They were in the distance. We haven't had too much luck with anything else, but the temperatures dropped. The light is dimming slightly. So we may find something interesting. Ooh, Heidi has asked an interesting question. Heidi has asked, which nocturnal animal has the largest eyes? Ah, good question. Alright, Heidi. Well, he has a nocturnal-ish animal, but it's not one that we're looking for. Oh dear, I've managed to find Taylor. Hi. Oh no. Okay, enjoy it. Look at that. It's the first time I've managed to find Taylor. So Heidi, getting back to your question about the largest eyes on a nocturnal animal. Sure, that is very interesting. Trying to think. Owls have very large eyes, but we need to think in terms of size of animals. And I would say the predators have very big eyes. You know, leopards and lions have got very large eyes, especially because they are mainly nocturnal. But then the question is, do you go in proportion to body size? That's a tricky question. You know what? I actually don't know. That's probably my best answer is I'm just not sure. I think, just let me make space quickly for this other vehicle coming past. So largest nocturnal eyes is in proportion to body size. If you think about owls and that, they've got very large eyes. Evening, everyone. So they've got very large eyes. The lions, the leopards, they've got very large eyes, also in proportion to their body size, and because they are nocturnal. I'm trying to think what else is there. We've got little birds called nightjars, and nightjars sit on the road in the evenings, and they usually try and catch insects that come into the middle of the road, because the road holds a lot of warmth, so you get a lot of insects on the road, and these nightjars come and land, and those birds also have very large eyes. The other one that I can think of, now that I think of it, let me show you a picture, is probably a bush baby, Heidi. And I love these questions that make me think very carefully. And let me show you a picture of a bush baby. Give me a second. I'll find it for you. And I would say in proportion to body size, it's probably the bush baby. Here we go. And look at that. Look at that little guy. Look at those big eyes for that tiny little body. Look how big those eyes are. So Heidi, I think I've answered your question. I think it is probably the bush baby. The largest eyes for a nocturnal animal, but again in proportion to its body size. I think it would be the bush baby. All right. That was a great question. Thank you, Heidi. Taylor's managed to find those lions again. Apparently they were moving. Let's see what they are doing.
My goodness, I'm sorry, I'm trying to duck, but we are surrounded by lions, as you can see. Well, I'm just going to sit here as we watch the kahumas go past us. Hello, guys. My goodness. Now, look at this one, climbing over the log. Of all the places you've got to walk, it's so typical that they come and walk right up past the vehicle. Now, of course, they wouldn't do this if they weren't comfortable with us. They're going in front of us, they're going around us, and I'm completely relaxed. They're not bothered at all. Look at the little one coming in from the back. Oh, listen to this. Did you hear that? That was that male. I'm sorry, I'm trying to duck and dive out of the shot. He obviously doesn't want that cub to get close. Oh, and that little one getting left behind. It's okay, don't panic. And also trying to keep out of sight of that male, because he keeps growling at it. Now we need to try and get out of here so we can get up to them. He's still coming, but let's get in front of them, because that other male is going to take ages to get here. Okay, right, we need to get back onto the road, so I'm going to have to choose another route. Woo! I think one of my little wheels spun and then kicked up a whole lot of mud onto the vehicle. Going through here. Sorry about all the clunk, 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 clunk. I had to go the long way around, unfortunately, just because there were lots of trees, but we're almost back on the road now and it's opened up nicely again. There was just a couple of trees that the elephants unfortunately had pushed over, and then of course it makes it quite difficult for us to move, but we're catching up to the lions. You can see this is a much easier route. This is the route I came in. Hello lions, you're walking exactly the same pathway that I took. Now I'm hoping they're going to go down for a drink so it opens up a little bit better. I think that's exactly where they're going. We're going to zip around and get in front of them. Hi boy. Alright, you can see he's just watching. I'm going to just go past him. Cheers big man, we'll see you just now. We're going to carry along. Right, let's leave him. Yeah, they're going straight down to that big pan, so let's go wait for them and have them coming towards us. I think it's always a nice idea to try and get there before the animal behind. Oh my goodness. So excited. Look at all the buffalo. Look at all of those buffalo. Woohoo! I'm filled with adrenaline now. We're still going to try and get down and watch these lions. We'll just not even tell the buffalo that the lions are here. Goodness, so much adrenaline going on right now. I'm so excited. Now this is very exciting because we know how successful the lions are when it comes to catching their dinner. And they just keep seeming to have so much luck. I even see some wildebeest around, and I think the wildebeest might see those lions because they've come out into the open. Remember, this is all part of nature. The lions have got to eat. Everybody's got to eat. Can we go down here? We're going to go down here. I'm just trying to find a spot. We don't want to sink in the mud, of course. I'm not going to drive into the wet stuff. We'll try and just head along here and have a look at them. Lovely reflection coming through. There we go. Have a look at all these lines. Sorry, I've parked at a little bit of an angle, a little bit of a slope. As you can see, it's getting quite dark now. And you can see the lodge, the lights in the background reflecting on the water too. The lapwings are going crazy. Isn't this beautiful? The lapwings are now about to start dive bombing onto the lions to try and deter them. But it's been a very hot day and the lions have been very successful in catching all sorts of things. So it's only right that they've come down to have a drink after a lovely afternoon. That is so stunning. I love how they've also all gone into little groups. The 3 on the right, looks like the 2 in the middle, and of course then the rest of them on the far left. And you can still hear how angry those lapwings are. Now I wonder if those buffalo that we saw aren't going to come down in this direction to also have one last drink just before it gets too dark. And ideally that would be a perfect strategy for the Nkuhumas. And there's not a breath of wind this evening, which could actually work against the Nkuhumas. They like to rely on the wind. That's just because when there is a bit of a breeze, it does muffle sound. And of course it can also work in their favor if they are sort of downwind of the animals. And they won't be able to smell them coming either. But we'll see. It's going to be a dark evening. There's no stars tonight. Oh, I need to turn my radio on and tell Mike where the lions are. They seem to not be able to find them. Ephraim and Mike, please come to the dam. I'm going off air again. Just quickly let them know, and I'm going to turn the radio off. Sure, they're very thirsty though, lapping up as much as they can. And look how they drink. Look at the technique that they use, how they stick their tongues into the water. And you see how it almost curves backwards. And then they're able to lap it up, and it sort of hops into their mouth, I suppose. Well, the light is getting quite bad, I'm afraid. But we'll try and stick with them for as long as possible. Like I said, these cubs are still just a little bit too young to put a spotlight on them unnecessarily. Here comes one of the males. He's finally made it. Looks like Mfumo coming down. I'm just listening and I'm just watching all the lions. Look at him running. Unfortunately, we're going to have to pan away from him in a moment. He's trying to keep up with one of the other lionesses. But did you see all that power though as he was running? It's just pure muscle, even when they've got big fat bellies. It's incredible to see how fast they can go. There you go, going past the dam cam. And I know that the dam cam isn't unfortunately working, but don't worry, we are trying to fix it as quick as we can. But these things do take time. And there, the honeymoon couple goes off into the distance. And it seems as though the rest of the pride, the one little cub has become quite brave now and is following after them, but sort of with no more parental supervision. It's already on the other side of the dam. You're becoming very big and brave. Now, George, you're wondering, you've asked a fantastic question, if the lions will roll in the dung of perhaps the herbivores that they're looking to hunt. They do indeed. They often see them rolling in buffalo dung and elephant dung, and that does work very well to mask the scent of a lion. We were chatting about if lions smell. Wow, did you see the speed that that little cub managed to get to? Wow, I even saw dust coming off behind it. Now they're slowly making their way around again. Oh, we're still waiting for Tinyo. Tinyo seems to be lagging behind. Oh no, I've just seen him. He's coming down slowly. There he is. He's not rushing at all. He's taking his time and marking his territory. And now he's coming down. I wonder if he's going to go for a drink. Fumo didn't. He just went straight after the other lioness, not letting her out of his sight. Here's the little cubs. Be careful you don't go too far, because if something comes running out of the bushes, you're not going to have anyone to protect you. And that's what happens, is as these cubs get older, they get bolder. And they have to learn the lessons the hard way of wandering too far away from the protection of Mom or any of the other pride members. And trying to stalk. Look at them, they're really starting to get wild now. It's amazing, hey, how close the lodge is and all this is happening. Like I said, sometimes you don't have to go out on a game drive at all. So you can just sit from whichever lodge you're at and watch and have all the animals come around to you. You can see the light has now faded very quickly. There goes Tino. He doesn't seem like he's going to have a drink from this pan. Perhaps he'll go to the top of the dam. Maybe we must go around, I think, VM. Should we zip around? Because at least if he drinks from the other dam, we may get some light that's coming off him. Let's do that. Right, I'm going to zip around, and while I do so, let's go back to Byron.
So glad Taylor got to see those lions moving around a little bit. They've been resting for most of the day because it's been quite warm and their bellies are full. We are in search of any nocturnal little animals, maybe one of those bush babies stick their heads out. I could hear some owls calling in the distance, but they've stopped now. Ray has actually just asked us a question about the owls, and Ray would like to ask, what is the biggest owl that we can see in this area? So Ray, the largest owl that we get here is the giant eagle owl, or the Verreaux's eagle owl. Let me see if I can quickly show you. I'm not going to find it in that book. Let me quickly find it for you, Ray. Beautiful, beautiful big owl. And there we go. There we go. That beautiful bird over there. The giant eagle owl, or it's now known as the Verreaux's eagle owl. See the name Verreaux? Verreaux's eagle owl. I still prefer giant eagle owl. Verreaux's. Dave's laughing at the name changes. So that is the largest owl, and it has got those beautiful pink eyelids. And when I was here in June, I actually managed to find 2 or 3 of them. I have not heard one calling since I've been back now, but maybe we are lucky and we still find one in the next little while, moving into summer. They are around, definitely are around. Trying to see if we can't find any little scorpions, perhaps. Occasionally you find these creatures walking along the road, scorpions or interesting little beetles at night. And then obviously the chameleons. We want to try to find chameleons. I'm hoping we have some luck in the next few days because of all the rain. So there's a lot more moisture, and we can see a lot of reptile activity, like from the tortoises and that. Having a look carefully around here. Got to check these leaves or the trees, the branches very carefully if we'd like to try to find a chameleon. Scorpion on the trees. I'd love to be able to find you one on the tree. Quite an art to try and drive and use the spotlight and check the road for anything. We get used to it. I'm going to continue my search. If I do find anything, we'll let you know. Let's see what those lions are doing now.
Now we're very, very sort of stuck for light at the moment. We're going to keep a nice wide shot so VM can do all his fancy camera work and try and allow as much light as he can so you can all see okay. But we're going to have to call it quits, I'm afraid, in a couple of minutes. And it seems as though The lions have now come across the dam, so for the moment the buffalo are safe. And I'm sure with all the commotion, they were making quite a bit of noise at the dam. The buffalo have got very good hearing. They probably would have heard those lions making all that noise, so perhaps they will move off. Look at the cubs all chasing each other. They seem to have more energy than ever now. Oh, careful who you go and play with. Look at them. They jump all over the males. They're not scared. But I think I like the male's sort of tactic to sort of deterring the cubs, is they just ignore them and then the little ones get quite bored. Another one going over to try its luck. Oh, be careful. They're so tolerant. Oh, that is so lovely. Oh, very wild. Especially when he swats his tail around quite quickly. Oh, careful. Racing around. And it's funny how we're struggling to see them. Our eyes don't work so well at night, but their eyes work incredibly. And I can imagine they're just carrying on like it was daytime. And off they go again down to play on that steep bank where I presume it sort of provides lots and lots of entertainment for those little ones, rolling up and down the hill. And I'm sure you can hear those cicadas. Very peaceful this evening. Even the birds are still chittering and chattering. I thought they would have gone to bed by now. They are so quick. They never used to be that fast. Remember watching them almost even when I started here 2 months ago. They were quite wobbly on their legs, and they definitely could not reach speeds like that, let alone leap at one another at a full speed. Even hear the hardy-dars. And of course you heard the spurfowls earlier. Now it won't be too much longer until we can start using spotlights on the cubs. Probably give it another 2 months or so when the youngest cubs get to about 6 months, and then we'll be good to go and we can carry on. But isn't this lovely? Guy, oh my goodness, so Guy seems to think that I should hang Di seems to think that I should stay here for the rest of the evening and pretend to be the dam cam. Well, if the lions hang around, I actually wouldn't mind it so much. It's beautiful and cool and refreshing out here. Someone will just have to bring me dinner. Possibly Kirsty will bring me dinner. Kirsty says she maybe will bring me dinner. And Kirsty, what happens if I need to request a cup of hot chocolate at 12 o'clock at night? Who brings that to me? Kirsty just says Louise will have to bring it to me then. I know the light is fading and you're probably going to see that the movements are going to start looking a little bit slower. But it's the best we can do. Sorry, Kirsty. There we go. I missed a vital part in the middle of the question that Kirsty was reading to me. So Debbie from Vancouver, good evening to you. You want to know if lions see better at night or during the day. Now, they're very lucky. I think they've got phenomenal eyesight at both times. But I reckon and during the day, with all the various lights, they probably see the best. But of course, compared to the animals that they are hunting, their eyesight at night is tenfold better than what any of theirs could be. But it's very different. I can imagine the lions will probably see something very similar to what we see at night when we use the infrared, something along those lines. Oh, they might start roaring. I heard everybody turn your volume up in case these lions start to roar. Sounded like they wanted to, but I'm going to sit here and just in case they do roar, but let's very quickly go across to Byron.
So we haven't found anything just yet. Taylor's been very fortunate and lucky with those lions. So glad she's been able to show it to you. A lot of impala out in the clearings at the moment. This is because they all come out here for safety in the evenings. It's easier to rest out here where it's nice and open. They can keep a lookout for any predators. So a lot of impala all over. No chameleons or anything like that yet. And I do think it's because it's still quite dry, even though we had rain recently. But you know, it takes some of these animals a lot longer to recover. But let's see. Maybe I'll find something interesting here. It's always good to have a look at these trees very carefully. Never know what you could find. The odd bush baby or a little scorpion. We're definitely going to have to work harder in the evenings to try and find something for you. But I hope you've enjoyed today with us. It's been wonderful having you. We've had a lot of exciting things happening, especially with the lions, some great elephant sightings. Thank you very much to Dave on camera with me this afternoon. And we will see you tomorrow morning for our sunrise safari. And I'm going to let you get back to Taylor to finish off with the lions. Thank you, everyone.
Look at the beautiful last light as it really starts to disappear now. I'm sitting here hoping. I'm going to shine the spotlight on the male, just on the male now. We're able to do this. The cubs aren't around him, but as soon as the cubs come around him again, I'm going to have to take the spotlight off. So don't be alarmed if it goes from seeing a lion to seeing nothing. I just don't want to disturb these little ones too much. There's one going to the back. I'm just going to drop the light a little bit. Here we go. But the idea of a spotlight anyway is not to shine it directly in the animal's face. You really just shine it down on the ground below them and let that soft light reflect back up onto them and illuminate them slightly. These spotlights can be quite powerful. And Aqua, you want to do a final cub count. It's unfortunately very... Oh my goodness, I've got the caterpillar on my neck, sorry. Oh no, please. Oh, that's where he went. Remember I flung the caterpillar accidentally from the tree on, and I thought that it went flying. It actually landed up on me in the end. Kirsty says it's called karma, and it landed on my neck. Okay, we'll send him home eventually. So Aqua, it's going to be unfortunately very difficult to try and count these cats now, as it's completely dark and I can't really see anything. And like I said, I can't shine the spotlight on them. But I did have a count as they were funneling past us, and I indeed did count 8. So all 8 of them are still around. I think they're just very sort of split up at the moment. Some of them are relaxing, some of them are playing around, being crazy little cats. Let's see if we can have one last little look. And the only one that doesn't have any cubs surrounding him seems to be this male at the moment. Like I said, the entire pride is all spread out around here. On the left, on the right, They're everywhere. But I think turn up your volume for the last few minutes of the show, because it's sounding really beautiful. Now, of course, never mind. Unfortunately, there is a vehicle revving its engine, so that's not going to sound very nice. And it's lovely. Well, I suppose let's have one last look at my friend the caterpillar. It's been an absolute, I can't see him because I don't want to touch him and get all the hairs on him. Well, we won't say goodbye to the caterpillar. I hope you enjoyed the show, and thank you to everybody who was a part of this amazing production this afternoon. But myself and VM, we'll see you tomorrow morning for the sunrise safari. Remember, keep watching, and we'll see you soon. Let's have one last look at the lions.